Hello, this is Dr. Brian McDonough, and welcome to the Dr. Brian McDonough Show. This is a special edition where we're going to talk about the wildfires and, of course, the smog and pollution that we're seeing here in the United States. But let's start with the wildfires in Canada. Like, what is going on? Let's put it in perspective. Canada is experiencing one of the worst starts to its wildfire season ever recorded. We're talking about almost 7 million acres in the country have already been burned. Another way of looking at that, this is 13 times more than what we would normally see this time of year in Canada. It's basically equal to 71% of the total burn that they had back in 2014. So when you compare the numbers, this is dramatic. And the thing about the fires is that it's one of these things that is continuing because right now there's 423 active fires across Canada. So, what are we talking about as far as this? If you're watching this presentation on Wednesday evening, we're talking about mostly the East Coast major cities. Philadelphia is clearly got it. New York, Boston. You see issues in Chicago, but we're now starting to see greater problems in Washington, and Charlotte, and going down in Delaware, Maryland, those areas. So it's going to be a situation that spreads across the country, and from a health standpoint, and that's what I'm most concerned about. We know that people who are always at high risk, those with asthma, heart disease, the very young, the very old, without a doubt, they're at risk when we have moderate levels of air issues. But now everyone is at risk. And by that, I mean, you can go outside, but I'd limit it. I would stay indoors as much as possible. And if you go outside, you can wear the N95 mask. Remember, we're not talking about an infection here. We're talking about trying to reduce the amount of exposure. In other words, if you have to go out for a short period of time, wear that mask, especially if you have to go out even a longer period of time. But what you really want to do is avoid going out. I mean, Major League Baseball has shut down on Wednesday evening in New York and in Philadelphia. Cities are looking at this and saying, we have to protect the people in the city. So the big news here from my standpoint is use precautions. And remember, each day this goes on, you might get a little more impatient. Until they lift these alerts and say it's safe, I would stay indoors and make sure that you protect yourself and don't take unnecessary risk. Thanks for joining us on the Dr. Brian McDonough Show.